What up everyone, Clayton here, and today we're back with another Skyrim build. Today's build is called the Warrior Cat. The Warrior Cat is a Khajiit, obviously, who was raised by Orcs. I kinda got this idea after playing through the Elder Scrolls Online DLC, which I did on my channel, so you can check out the link down below for the playlist of that playthrough. But anyways, I heard about this, or I found a quest where a character was actually raised by Orcs. He was a Khajiit, his family was killed in a snowstorm. They were a traveling caravan and were killed, and these orcs found him as a cub and raised him. So he has the the skills and training of an orc, but he looks like a Khajiit. So I thought that would be interesting to put that in the Skyrim some way, and this is what this build came out to be. The backstory for this build is kind of open-ending, and I kind of want to do that way, so you guys can kind of pick and choose what the characters get really about. You can kind of make a backstory of what his parents were really like before they were killed. How were his parents killed? Were they killed by bandits, a storm, maybe a beast? And what type of orc family he had? Were they a good orc family? Were they bad? Were they kind to him? Did they leave him out in the cold? Did they want to raise him, but they felt they had to? Things like that. That way it kind of molds your character kind of how you feel it should be played. But the main premise is that he was raised by orcs, and he decided he wanted to find more about his Khajiit ancestry. So he tried to head to elsewhere, and was caught crossing the border in the Skyrim to get there, and the whole start of Dragonborn starts, or of Skyrim starts. So let's go ahead and get started with the skills after that long intro. You have smithing, heavy armor, archery, sneak, and speech. Smithing and heavy armor are your skills that you learned from your orcish family. Heavy armor is the armor of choice, since that is what you're trained to use as being an orc. And smithing is to make sure you get it leveled up pretty high. There's one perk in heavy armor that you really need to get, which is conditioning, which makes your heavy armor weigh nothing, so that way you can sneak better, because that is one of the skills you'll be using. You'll be using archery instead of like a dual wielding or a two-handed build, just because that is what you feel more naturally adept to using, because you're a Khajiit, you feel a natural presence to use a bow instead of these swords and whatnot. Sneak is just a natural talent of yours, so you want to make sure you get points into that. And speech is pretty good. You can kind of say how Khajiits are traders, or caravan owners, and kind of have a silver tongue. So that kind of goes in with the role-playing aspect. So for the weapon armor, you'll be using almost full orcish armor, which is heavy armor. And for the headpiece, I use a Thieves Guild hood, because it kind of gives you that rogue type feeling that you're not fully a warrior, but you have the mix of a warrior and kind of a rogue sneaky type. What you would think would be if a Khajiit or if a Khajiit was raised by an orc. For the weapons, I use the orcish bow and orcish arrows. Kind of fits in with being raised by orcs. It would make sense that's what the only items you would actually have to use. For the stat spread, I kind of think of having almost all your points dumped into health. That way you can get hit by a lot of things and not die. Especially since you're an archer, you kind of have to be able to take hits if you're in the combat, like face to face and melee range. And since you have heavy armor, it also makes it sure that you can take a hit. For your standing stone, the warrior stone is pretty good because it'll help you increase your smithing and heavy armor pretty quickly. And these are the skills that are probably going to take the longest to actual level up. For the real gameplay of this build, you just kind of want to sneak around with your bow and get sneak attack bonuses off on people. But don't be afraid to get caught. This build allows you to be an actual warrior. You can get in the face of people and use your bow. You might get hit a lot, but that's why you have heavy armor and a giant health pool to be able to stave off those enemies. And for archery, there's perks that allow you to stagger people, so you shouldn't really have to worry about getting overwhelmed. And if you do, you can always use shouts like Unrelenting Force, which is Fusor Da, to get people off your face, so that way you can fight people more easily. And the sneak is there, like I said before, because you're Khajiit, and it makes sense to have sneak, because it's just kind of a natural talent for them. And if you don't really want to have sneak because you just want to be more of a warrior, go ahead and do that. But it's always up to you. My builds are always a template, and they're always for you guys to change. But hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, and check out these two videos here. And make sure to leave your suggestions down below, and I'll get to them eventually. This is just one I kind of wanted to put out. So yeah, this is Clayton, signing out.